Have you ever wished you could travel back in time? This video is your time machine to an era of simpler joys and childhood dreams, where every photo tells a story of innocence and adventure. It's a journey you won't want to miss. One of the oldest persons to have been photographed in the 1840s. A soldier next to his warhorse, 1864. A family at a tent camp in Washington, 1861. Rural one-room schoolhouse in Florida, 1870s. Portrait of an unidentified beautiful family, 1875. Elderly Victorian couple, 1880. The opening of the Eiffel Tower during the 1889 World's Fair. Portrait of gentleman taken before Western Hotel, California, 1889. Telephone repair wagon and repairman, California, 1887. Two little girls in 1887. Kendall Green Bike Club in front of Faculty Row, 1885. Loggers with a crosscut saw and oxen standing near a large fir log, Washington State, 1889. Mule-powered trolley in Galveston, Texas, late 19th century. A saloon that allowed children their own child-size beers, Wisconsin, 1890. Lawmen outside of the city marshal's office in Guthrie, Oklahoma, 1890s. Victorian couple on a tandem bicycle, 1890s. A couple walks along the beach in Atlantic City, 1890. A woman churning milk to butter while reading a book, 1897. Shopkeepers and customers pose in doorways, Oklahoma, 1894. Mother and her three daughters, 1895. The crowds on State Street, Chicago, 1895. Rainy nights in London, 1899. Three women in Marshall, Texas, 1899. This giant sequoia tree was estimated to be over 2,600 years old when it was cut down in the 1890s. Graduation ceremonies in the late 1890s were quite the event. Handsome men from the late 1800s. Mother and children, 1900. Annie Edson Taylor poses with her cat and the barrel she rode over the falls, 1901. A group of kids gathered together in Massachusetts, 1904. An immigrant family arriving at Ellis Island in 1904. The Mississippi River frozen solid, 1905. A couple skating, Berlin, 1905. A cow carries 7 children to school, Washington, 1907. A funeral home in the 1900s. Children playing at the Washington Park Playground, 1907. Portrait of 2 girls washing clothes in the street of London, 1900s. Rush Hour, New York City, 1909. A typical family at the time, taken in the Midwest, sometime around 1900. Young cotton mill workers in 1909. 2 gentlemen from the early 1900s. Teachers on spring break, 1910. A group of people at the beach, Atlantic City, New Jersey. Children with their dog pulling a wagon. Noon break at a glass factory, East St. Louis, Missouri, 1910. People swimming. Mother and child in the kitchen. Woman selling fish from a barrel, 1910. A country girl and her friends munch pie after a morning of hunting. Family car camping, 1910s. Photographer above the skies of Berlin, 1912. A lifeboat carrying Titanic survivors. Children playing with dolls, New York, 1912. Tea on the lawn. Family standing in front of their home, Tennessee, 1913. A woman at her switchboard in 1914. Rural mail delivery in 1914. A tough truck carrying logs, 1915. Family having a picnic on the side of the dirt road. Harley-Davidson School for Motorcycle Mechanics, 1917. A man and boy change a tire on the side of a dirt road. Portrait of 2 lads with their baby sibling taken in Manhattan, New York, 1918. A couple enjoys their custom-made camper. Soldier eating midday meal, 1918. Postman empties mailbox attached to a German tram, Berlin, 1920. Love this shot of some fancy weekend at Silver Lake, Washington. Lumberjacks in 1920. A 1920s Harley-Davidson with a covered sidecar. 1920s farm school in Missouri. Note the scowl on the teacher's face. Also, some of these children are shoeless. A young boy and girl on the way to school for the start of a new term in the 1920s. A tattoo artist. Car camping in the 1920s. Two sisters, Florence and Susie Fryermuth, arrested for moonshining during Prohibition, 1921. Two-seater in Paris, 1922. An immigrant family looking at Manhattan from the dock at Ellis Island, 1925. Bread being sold off the back of a handcart. A businessman and secretary working in a pool during a heat wave in Berlin, Germany, 1926. An iceman delivering a 25-pound block of ice in 1928, Houston, Texas. A construction worker takes a break from building the Chrysler Building, New York, 1930. Workers laying bricks to pave 28th Street in Manhattan. A boy and his pedal car, 1930s. Women on motorcycles in Great Britain. Photo of two children and a pony with a railroad shop in the background, Western North Carolina, 1930s. Four fashionable ladies enjoying a picnic in the countryside, 1932. A female firefighting team on a converted motorcycle in London, 1932. Dutch boy with a pillow strapped on his backside to soften the falling on ice while skating, 1933. A lamplighter at work in London, 1935. Robert Wadlow, the tallest man in history, with his family in 1935. Migrant farm worker with his wife and 10 children. Christmas dinner consisted of potatoes, cabbage, and pie in 1936. A family on a motorcycle with a sidecar on the beach in Morocco. 18-year-old mother from Oklahoma in California, 1937. Sharecropper family, Georgia. A street scene from 1937. A mother homeschools her children in Louisiana. Two musicians sitting on a porch in Louisiana, 1938. Camera girls, late 1930s. Making ice cream in 1940. Children walking along a dirt path through a wooded area. A group of young boys in the early 1940s, Washington. New York street style, 1940s. Claiborne County, Tennessee, between 1940 and 1950. Maintenance worker painting the Sydney Harbour Bridge, Australia, 1945. A stylish family outing, 1946. U.S. soldier giving a Japanese girl a bicycle ride, Japan, 1946. Shoeshiners taking a lunch break, New York City, 1947. French family cooking food outside their caravan, France, 1948. Little girl and her kitty, Harlem, 1949. A woman reads a book next to the Washington Square Park fountain in the late 1940s. A little gang in Paris, 1950. A typical American family in the 1950s, Detroit, Michigan. Dairy Queen in 1954. Models on a smoke break, Italy, 1950. Children enjoying the water in the streets in New York City, 1954. A New York farmer, 1960s. A family going on the summer holiday in a Fiat 500, Italy, 1967. A young boy comforting his friend in Scotland, 1968. Frederick Patterson was the first African American to manufacture cars. On the left, Antonin Balderman is pictured at 17 years old. On the right, he is 101 years old. Two women sitting under a tree 117 years ago. A portrait taken of a woman while she was mid-sneeze. Clint Eastwood, aged 26. Group of friends in a beer garden, Munich, Germany. An American family leaves Florida for the north during the Great Depression. Early car at the gas station. Gas station owner with daughter and dog in front of the station in Clear Creek.